You know, after 3 to 5 years, get rid of that old wax and put some new in there and replace it.
That's new. They've been filling out frames. One hive fills out, been filling out 3 or 4 or 5 frames in a week.
Yeah.
But I've been feeding.
You got nectar coming in. And now they build up a little on this orange and they put up a little, but.
All right.
Yeah, this is all Brazilian pepper.
Oh, it looks like a.
Does it put off peppers or no?
It puts off these blooms. All right, you can barely see them. See that yellow? I mean, orange.
Oh yeah.
They'll open up a little more, but that's about it. And then whenever this thing blooms out completely, it turns to red berries. It'll be green berries, and then it turns to red. And then the birds eat it, and it goes through them and germinates the seed and drops it, and that's how they just keep spreading it. But
good. Will it bloom multiple times a year?
No, now this is blooming right now, but they're not really getting nothing off. If they get any, it's very little. But come September is the major bloom.
All right.
And that's when you're going to really see.
And that'll bring in nectar.
Oh yeah, that's our major honey flow right there if it's good.
September.
Yep, around 1st September. So, but normally it'd be pods of red berries, you know.
Okay.
And, but it crowds everything out. That's why they want to get rid of it.
Well, I can see it. Nothing grows underneath it.
Yeah.
Oh no, it shades everything.
Yeah.
Whole bunch of them things.
Okay, cool.
And Brazilian peppers.
Brazilian pepper.
Sweet. Cold freeze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freeze, it will kill that stuff back.
Now, does the watermelon, when you put them on the watermelon fields, does that give any watermelon taste?
No. No, they do not bring no nectar off of really nothing that I pollinate. Even blueberries here, you hear these guys, oh, I made blueberry honey. No, you didn't. No. You don't make honey off of blueberries down here. If they bring any nectar in, it's so little you don't never see it.
Okay.
They're bringing in willow the same time that your blueberries are blooming.
Gotcha. And
building up on that. And get out there, I'm going to show you the brood box. These are honey supers that you put on top to let them fill up. If you can buy a hive from somebody that the hive's in good shape, healthy, or you can go buy your boxes, you know, your bottom board, your brood box, your honey supers to go on later. And you can buy a 5-frame nook to put in there to get started to let them build. Then that's a good way to go too. That's the way I did it. I bought nooks. I was supposed to already start making nooks by now, but it looks like it's going to be more a little bit later because they're just no rain, they're not building up like they should. And I'm going to have to start putting buckets on when they go to watermelons. So
not start.
Anytime you can buy bees, get started.
Okay, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
What's a nook?
A nook is a 5-frame box. You know, normally you got a 10-frame box. And a nook, you know, when people sell you a nook, they usually don't sell you their wooden box with it. I have people come over to the house. We take 5 frames with bees, brood, and the queen, and we swap it over into your 10-frame box. You have 5 frames to put on each side of these 5 frames. I'll probably pack it about half full. And I got wood pellets you get from Tractor Supply. It's really a horse bedding. And it's cheaper to buy them from there than it is buying them from the bee supply house.
Yeah.
Then I put a little more hay on top, and it just keeps the pellets from rolling out the spout whenever you tip it over to smoke the bees. And I pack it good. If you don't pack them good, then they can burn out quick, and you can be throwing hot flames onto the bees. So what you usually have for you people that's new, there should be a bottom board here, but we didn't have one. But I got them a way to go in and out right here. The brood box is much taller. And that's where you like to keep the queen. Now up north, they run double brood boxes because they have a period where their queen will actually quit laying and they go broodless. So they run double brood box to get all the bees they can to last through the winter.
Oh, wow.
We don't really go broodless down here. I've seen it only one time in 21 years that we went broodless. This is your honey supers up top, and the queen excluder's in between. The queen excluder, as you're going to see when I pull it up, it has bars on it. The queen's abdomen is much larger, where she can't fit through that queen excluder. Now if she goes out in flight and comes back as a virgin, her abdomen is not swollen up yet, she can go through there. So anytime you pull your honey super up and you're looking down here and you see no eggs, no nothing, then you better check up here. She might have got up there and started laying. There's your queen excluder. I always, when I pull the queen excluder up, a lot of times when this is on here and you're going to pry that, people will take their hive tool and put it in here like this. You bend that queen excluder, she will find it and she'll go through it. Always keep and push away from the queen excluder because you don't want to bend it. Always with your first frame, you have to loosen them. Loosen them up where you can pull that frame. Your first frame, you want to come up real easy.
Got a lot of bees on there.
Yep. Now, do they have a laying queen? No. I don't see no eggs. I don't see nothing. So this hive is pretty much dying. Yeah. So what we're going to do, if that hive will give us a couple frames of bees and brood, we're going to go over there, get 2 frames of bees and brood. We're going to bring them back over here and we're going to pop a queen in this thing. And we're going to try to get this hive going again. We're going to pop a queen cell, which the queen cell has to hatch out. And this cells will be hatching out on the 29th. 2 to 3 days later, she goes in flight and mates, and hopefully a dragonfly don't eat her, and they can get going again. I don't over smoke them. I don't never really over smoke these hives unless they're just nasty. So I just throw them a little smoke right there. Press up. I don't think they're going to give us. Pull up your queen excluder, look for the queen, make sure she's not on here.
Okay, now how do you know the queen?
Because her abdomen's a lot longer. See, I don't think they're really not full enough to give us a couple frames of brood, I don't believe.
So you're talking about between every one, just full of bees.
Yeah, and this honey super, you know, nice and full. This thing kind of has went down. So can we take one frame over there and try it? Yeah, we can. So always remember when you loosen these frames, because they glue them together with propolis, you know, out of the trees, and they stick like crazy. You pull up the first frame slow. You don't want to roll the bees. Now there's nothing, you have to look with the sun to look down on the cell to see what they're doing. See stick eggs. Stick egg is when the queen backs down in the cell, lays an egg. It looks like a grain of rice, but it's much smaller. After she lays that egg to produce a worker, that egg will hatch out on the 4th day and lay down and become like a horseshoe, and then they start feeding it royal jelly and it grows. So if they want to produce a queen, they feed it a lot more royal jelly to produce a queen. Now the next frames, and you see, you don't have to be mad, you don't have to be rough with it. And I'm gonna try to find the queen. She's got plenty of stick eggs in here. This over in the corner is capped honey. See that? See how it broke? This is capped brood.
Some pollen.
There's some pollen on that bee's legs. Can everybody see? You want them to not get chilled and die, because if you separate this brood with a frame of honey, during the winter, then this frame on the outside could get chilled because they won't wrap around it and keep it warm enough. So I never take all my frames out. You start taking all these frames out and laying them out here, these bees start going berserk. You're tearing up their home. They're going to start crawling up on the walls. They're just going to be stupid. So this is why I take one frame out only. I make sure the queen's not on that frame. And the reason is, if I got her out here and she gets on the ground and I step on her, that's the end of the queen. My thumb?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see her.
See her?
She's bigger, longer.
Her abdomen's a lot larger. See that? Did you get her?
Yeah. And you would never have more than one queen in,
Well,
in a bunch?
No, you can actually, there can be several queens in a hive, but normally there's not supposed to. I grab her legs, I mark her, I marked her with last year's color, yellow, because she is last year's queen.
It's all right.
She's trying to get away from her. Sometimes you have to take it and you have to do like this with the sun. See how you see it now? See it? Somebody asked me what's the different kinds of bees. Is any of y'all in here that was there? Somebody asked me how many different kind of bees were in the box. And I got hung up on the males because they die, you know, and I never finished saying you have your queen which lays the eggs. And all these workers are females also. But if they start laying, and sometimes they can take over if something happens to the queen, they can start laying eggs, but they will not be fertile.
Oh.
So the hive will end up dying.
I did not know that.
Yep. So we know the queen's on this frame. All right, I'm going to take it anyway. We're going to take a chance. Who wants to take this? This is a queen cell that I grafted. and in this cup here, I put royal jelly in it. When the larvae was about 4 days old, just hatched out, I scooped it up, put it in this cup, was upside down like that, and I put it in there. And then I put them on 2 bars on a frame, and I've got it in a box that has no queen and is loaded with bees so they can take care of and build these cells. So this queen will hatch out on the 29th, and so then I like to go 21 days past that before I go back in the box. This is a queen cell protector. I put it down in there so if there is another queen in this box, then she cannot sting this cell, and it gives it time to hatch out. So now if we were doing the same principle here with a mated queen, the hive's dying, we're doing the same principle, we're pulling frames of brood, then you're going to put the cage down in there and they got to eat through the candy. And I tell people, once you do that, you know, you stay out of the hive for about 18 to 21 days. Because if you go back in that hive, whether you do a queen cell or you do a mated queen, too early, they will ball and kill that queen. I don't know why they do it, but they do it. So, so we'll take a frame and we're going to stick this thing just right in there like that.
Oh, check you out.
All right, y'all all see that?
And they'll feed her so they won't kill her.
Well, they're not gonna feed her because she's got to hatch out. Yeah. So that's how I stick it in there. Now, then I put it in, and you say, well, won't these bees fight and kill each other? Well,
you read my
they don't have a queen. So there's no, when I'm making up hives like this, I may take 5 to 6 frames of bees and brood, mix them together. That pheromones, once you take it out, is no longer there, and they don't know that where's the queen, so they're not going to fight with each other. So then you go to put this other frame in. Look how calm they are.
Yes, sir.
See, when you pull up frames and the bees are just kind of all running around and like they're a little crazy, then they got more of an Africanized gene in them.
Really?
Yep. So I won't graft anything off of them hives. So when I put this down in here now, you can't put it straight down beside this other one because it's going to hit them hooks and tear, and so you got to put it back like that, and then we're going to slide it. Try not, you're always going to kill a few. You try not to, then we slid it in. And then we put, see, it's got a good amount of bees now if the majority of these bees stay and they hatch out. So if they can survive, by the time we come back next month, boy, that's tight.
Yeah.
They're gonna be, she should be laying by then, if she takes. You know, that's the $1,000,000 question. So I put a date, 3/29, so that tells me not to go back in this thing for about 21 days. It's gonna be pretty close.
Okay.
Look at the pollen.
Okay. Just for the jacket?
Yeah, but you can get full suit.
What kind of pollen you think's coming in right now?
I got it myself, man. Like,
You can have a little bit of Spanish needle. You could have, I don't know if they get a, I don't know
What
if
is
they
that?
really work that. That's lantana. Unless you got Florida cracker cows, your other cows coming in, if they eat that, it can make them sick and kill them.
Really?
Yep, it's bad stuff. You know they could, usually if it's Brazilian pepper, they bring in a orange color.
yeah.
Watermelon, they'll bring in a red, which watermelon don't really benefit the bees.
Right.
So Spanish needle, cabbage palm blooming, you know, different things. Cherry laurel was blooming, the trees.
Right.
And then the willow down in the swamps, which that's over with now.
What'd you say bright orange was?
The orange could be the Brazilian pepper,
Okay.
because if you'll notice, the little bloom is orange, and they use it. If you'll go to these trees when they're blooming, you'll be able to see the pollen, what they're bringing in.
Mine
I've
had
seen
orange
dark
last
pollen. I've seen a light green. I only leave one super on top. I won't have 2 or 3 on top where you got all that room for the beetles to multiply and stay.
Okay.
Yeah, I push them down to, depends on how full. Should it have 2 supers or should it just have 1?
Well, we just went in it, so we'll leave it be for what. How often should you check them?
I would go in them at least probably a couple of times a month just to see how they're doing. You know, we kind of do one thing. When y'all buy all brand new and you have a brand new box, you can't put the queen excluder on and then put the super on when it's got all frames that nothing's drawn out. It's all brand new, and
So let them draw the super out a little bit.
yeah.
Before.
See, these have all been drawn out before. We took them to the honey house and extracted them. They're small hive beetle. Now, if you got a super up here that you already got drawn out comb, even though it don't have honey in it, you can stick it on and put your queen excluder first. But if it's all brand new stuff and you got 10 frames, you'll have 10 frames in that box. You got to leave the queen excluder off or they will not go through that queen excluder with brand new stuff up here.
Gotcha.
Now, if you already got a super up here that has honey in it, then you don't have to, once you find out the queen's not up here, you put the queen excluder on where she can't come up here and lay. Even if she comes up there and lays some, they'll hatch out and, you know, get her back down. But then you can put another brand new one on top, and you already got honey up here, so they'll come and they'll start working it sooner or later. So, and if you notice, when I go back to the honey house, when I extract my boxes, when I put them back, because they're already drawn out, some comb, you know, cut off the cappings, sling the honey out, I go back with 9 frames only. And the reason I do that, see how we kind of got them spaced here? The reason I do that, 10 frames is going to be tight together. 9 frames you're going to space, they're going to pull out the comb more, you're going to get more wax, you're going to get more honey. Some people run 8 frames, but you're going to need them for that hive.
Right there.
And I always kind of recommend getting a couple of hives, you know, so just like if something goes wrong, you got 2 hives and something goes wrong, you kind of see how we kind of pulled a little brood and took it over there and helped that one out and see if we can get that one going. Larvae, no queen. So at this point, it's hatched out all the bees. So what does it have to a point? It has no more nurse bees, it has old bees. Old bees are cranky. So if you just went and bought a queen cell or a mated queen and you put it in that hive that's dying, they will end up killing that queen because they're older bees and they're not nurse bees. They're for some reason they will not accept that mated queen. So what you have to do is like pull a couple frames out of your strong box with bees on them, because you want some nurse bees. You don't want it all capped, because you want it where some's capped and some's not, because you got bees on that frame that will be taking care of that larvae and all. And make sure you don't get your queen. If you have to look around in here and say, oh, there she is on that frame, let me grab these 2. You grab them 2, you put over there, you pull 2 frames out of there, you put these in, you put your queen cage in, and you stay out of it for 21 days.
Mated queen.
Mated queen. And you let them get to know her. They'll eat through the candy and get to know her. You can't just take her out of the cage and throw her in there, because they'll kill her. They have to get to know her. So, and then you go back in 21 days and check that hive and see how they did. Thank you. When you have a box that don't have a queen, say you split them off, there's enough brood in both that they have nurse bees, and you wait maybe 3 days and they're already making a queen cell. This one ain't making a queen cell because they got a laying queen. This one is, because that's the one that's queenless. So they may start, if they got eggs, they'll go ahead and start making a queen. You go get a mated queen and you stick it in here, when that hatches out, when they get it out of that candy, they will kill her because they've already started cells. So what you have to do is you have to go through every frame, maybe shake the bees off a little. If there's any queen cells started, you got to cut them out before you can put that mated queen in that cage in there, or they will kill her. And the state now tells us, now the county, if code enforcement comes out and says, hey, your neighbor's complaining, you got some bees, they're coming over here in their bath water, and you got to get rid of them, you say, well, hold on, don't be nasty with them. Well, hold on, because I know the state regulates us, and I got to get a hold of the state and let them get a hold of y'all. Can I have your card? Because they cannot tell us what to do no more, and they don't like that, but that's the way it is.
Shoot,